You being a small business yourself, mixed with, your many years in the IRS, what does the future look like, you think? From let's pull in the economy, let's pull in you being a small business, let's pull in that. What does the future, do you think, looks like for small business or businesses in general? What does it look like, say, next maybe 3-5 years? What do you think?
Well, I think over the next couple of years, we're on shaky ground. We're individually ourselves in our own business, we're on shaky ground because now we're having troubles with finding labor to help. We're expanding our business and getting ready to be doing some, we hope, large commercial projects. Well, that takes employees. Well, now it's getting harder and harder to find somebody to actually work. And we're hearing that not just from our side, which is roof treatments, but also from roofers across the country saying they're not finding adequate labor anymore. There's nobody out, there's less people out there working. So there's a problem as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And then supplies. What do you mean by supply? Anything relating to operating the business, whether for us it's buying some shingles or some sealant or nails or anything like that. Mm-hmm. The whole supply chain's all disrupted, and I don't know when it's going to change. I mean, we order some supplies, and it takes like months now to get an order of supplies in. Months in this country is ridiculous.
Yeah,
we ought to be able to acquire anything.
Yep.
I mean, with the vast economy that we have, we ought to be able to acquire anything in a very short period of time.
Right.
And that's not happening. And that's hurting the small businesses the worst because the profit margin's a whole lot smaller than a large corporation can get away with.
Right.
So it's, I fear for the small businesses.
Yeah.
It may be that the big businesses will always survive. They always have. Small businesses not so. And that was one of the things I dealt with in collections is that the first 2 or 3 years of a business were the worst for a small business.
Yeah. That's what they say, to
when
survive those first couple years. Yeah. Going back to what we talked about earlier where, people that get in business, they have this grand idea, like I'm going to make it as a small business. And you're good at something, whether it's a trait or you have this idea. But to this exact point, it's those first couple years of, getting your systems, finding employees, which is incredibly hard right now. COVID, changed the whole script when it comes to employees, right? Where it went for many, many years, companies went to work for, or employees went to work for a company and they worked hard, right? It was that whole, the company's going to take care of me. I'm going to go work hard. And now that whole script has kind of changed where the employee can kind of decide, I don't really want to work for this company, or I don't like where this company says. So, it's really those first couple of years that are very difficult. And the employee, I think that almost to the point of the employee mindset has changed.
Right. Yeah. You take it, for instance, even sports now, and you got the transfer portals in college. It's like, wait a minute, you can play for one team 1 year and another team another year.
Right.
Well, how in the world are you going to have a steady work base? So now you flip it over into this business world. If you don't have employees, how are you going to have that steady experience at what you are doing?
Yeah.
You can't get that with contractors.
Right.
Contractors will come and go. Guess what? Your experience is going to come and go. Right. How do you know the next guy is going to work out?
Yeah.
An employee, generally, when they get in and they enjoy their job, is going to stick around a while.
Right. And all these new terms come out, like since COVID, the quiet quitting, I think it's like, I heard it the other day. It's like overworked or overemployed. I think it's actually what it is, where you're actually working at 2 companies simultaneously, giving half to each, waiting for one to figure out. And when that one figure out, then you go get another one. So now you're actually working at 2 jobs at the same time.
And neither one of them even know you're doing it with another business.
No one knows you're doing with the other business. So running small business is definitely, there's many, many challenges that, that you take on. And it's, overcoming those first couple of years to make yourself a small business, make that grow and become what you think it could be. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to touch on, again, hot things last couple of years, especially during COVID, was the PPP ERC. Right. So you being a small business, maybe not, this was obviously post you being in the IRS, but let's take the ERC. You're familiar with that a little bit?
Yeah. I hate acronyms.
Employee retention credit.
Because it's like one of those things where IRS did this all the time.
Right.
And acronyms, does really everybody really even know what that really means? Yeah, employee retention credit. Boy, what does that really say? That sounds great, doesn't it?
Right. It sounds phenomenal.
Does it really work?
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
And